Guys, I need to let you know that this is a review of a comic book. It's no way endorsed by the creators. If I don't tell you this, the entire multiverse will suffer major ramifications. Dogs will walk down the streets in stilettos. Everyone will watch The Watchmen. Batman will turn into the Frankenstein monster. Such travesties must be prevented. Thank you for your time.
Hey guys, StarCraft here, and like I said, continuing on with the Black Ops books, as we get into Black Ops Volume 2, Hare Trigger. This one's actually an interesting one because it's actually a flip book, in that we have a main story here, and then we have two backup stories at the back. Now, just to get one thing out of the way, it was made clear just relatively recently that Red Rooster, the stuff going on with the Brightwisers, was also supposed to take place in this universe, but given things that have gone lately, yeah, it's no longer is, and I'm not going to give much of my opinions on Red Rooster yet. Just let me just put it this way, I am not happy with how all that's been going. I know that a lot of people are also in the same boat. Believe me, out of all the campaigns I've been backing, this is the first one where I am considering just canceling it. I'm nothing so far, but I am considering it. Because there's just so much going on that more than any of the other campaigns where I'm just like, is it really worth it? So far it is, but we'll have to wait and see. But let's focus back on this. As we get a bit of a summary about what happened beforehand, we get some nice on inner cover. We get some nice designs of our new villains, Hare Trigger and Apex Moth. As then we open up on Long Island, July 3rd, as a bunch of soldiers are now attacking and shooting other soldiers who are trying to run and get some aid, but they're gunned down by, well, Hare Trigger. As they say, you know, like, she doesn't want to have to go hunting again because the whole island's on red alert. We're then, on the 4th of July, we're now having it be that U.S.A G.I and Penny are being brought in, basically talking, getting prepared for everything, as basically they're told that the person involved, Apex Moth, works for what they call the Cryptis Catalyst Radiation, which is what caused the intelligent inducing events, and he had been studying them all. But then as things went on, eventually, turns out he was able to hire people who were there to guard him to now be able to be mercenaries to seize the whole island and use them for herself. As we also find out Hare Trigger has a bunch of jackalope fur coat, which gets U.S.A G.I ticked off, and basically we find out also that it turns out Apex is responsible for creating a whole bunch of these animal as weapons for, you know, other worlds and other nations. Hold on a second. Sorry about that. Figured I'd get a better lighting so I can actually show this off a bit better because it gets a little dark. But basically find out that he is responsible for a bunch of them, including an Tanzo worm from the first book. As now he's wants to leave and get away and everything. So of course the military can't allow it, so they're going to send in Black Ops. This is where we actually get the proper Black Ops team. As we're introduced to two other operatives, Rigor-Tortoise, who is not irradiated intellect. He actually carries a bunch of neural impulse implants and a GPS chip, but he's basically a regular tortoise. Then we have Patriot-R, an otter who, unlike U.S.A G.I, who was an actual pet before when he got irradiated, and Patriot-R was feral when he gained his intellect. So unlike U.S.A G.I, who can have a handler, Patriot-R can't really be able to handle one because he's just way too feral, and he's basically been the one who's been carrying over when U.S.A G.I was decommissioned. So, but Yep, we got our 3 teams, and if you remember from the Common America, there was a 4th one. We haven't met them yet. But for this part, we actually have it be, this is from U.S.A G.I's point of view, as Patriot-R runs off, and U.S.A G.I has a knife. Now, if you know, U.S.A G.I does not look as realistic of a bunny as he did in the first book. I'm of 2 minds of that. It makes sense because you actually get some more interesting stuff. Tim Lim is using his more recent style that kind of fits up with Walmart a bit more, so it's a bit more transitional. I kind of found there was a bit of a charm to it when having it look so realistic, but at the same time, though, it was kind of limited, so I'm pretty sure that's why. But yeah, especially when you have him just slicing and dicing through everyone, making his way through. All the while, Rigor-Tortoise has been let go, and he's just walking around slowly on the bottom, eating, swimming, munching, until eventually they meet up with Hare Trigger and Apex Moss, who basically taunts them and says, oh, I wasn't here to just destroy them. I was here to create them, but I decided to go my own route. I'm prepared for you. And basically starts explaining how he's just been using the government to continue what he started long ago. And of course, Hare Trigger then basically, she wants to gun him, and Apex says, all in due time, you'll have your chance. As we're still seeing Rigor-Tortoise still walking around as, but then Hare Trigger is ready, like, screw it, I'm gonna do it anyway. But U.S.A G.I gets the jump on her and is able to then get away and start, running out, taking about a few more of the guards. As, again, just a whole lot of great action sequence. Again, Rigor-Tortoise is still moving at a tortoise pace. And then right when it looks like U.S.A G.I's been, is cornered, he looks up, then she looks up and notices that Rigor-Tortoise unleashes the payload, which is a bunch of missiles that take out, I should point this out, one of the things that Apex Moss is ready to unleash is a bunch of chupacabra type coyotes. So that was what he threatened to do if he wasn't released. So that's what Rigor-Tortoise just blasted into bits, was that. And then a bit of debris comes and takes off the Hare Trigger's hand completely and utterly. She then, of course, retreats as U.S.A G.I is completely caught in the blast. And if it wasn't for Patriot-R, who grabbed both him and Rigor-Tortoise, he would have been taken out, as we see Patriot-R walking out with them. I'll show you the last page when I'm done, because, believe it or not, it actually does kind of intersect. As we get into the backstory where, we get the back end of Benny. These ones were done with different artwork. We also have a great looking model for posing as Penny with, U.S.A G.I. As we find out, one of the capsules with the chupacabras got away, and Penny offers saying, hey, I've dealt with coyotes before, I'll go do it. As we basically see her trying to deal with everything, do it on her own when she hasn't had much military training at all. She's a bit over her head, but she's like, someone's got to do it. I love the bit in her face here when she's trying to find them. A truck comes by, she's like, wah! He then fakes being hurt to get the chupacabra coming. And as it does, she tries to get a shot in, but this thing isn't, it hoiks up a lot of its, it vomits itself to distract her. It's right in, but she's still able to move out of the way and get a shot. And instead it's hit by a truck, which wasn't part of her plan, but she'll take what she's gonna get. She'll take it. And she basically realized, I guess Dad and Granddad did this all the time. Next one, we then get a bit more explanation about Patriot-R. What he did before and how he was found just swimming around in irradiated liquids. And again, like I said before, he wasn't able to handle much of having a handler or anything. And then we then find out, again, just how well he was able to do stuff. It's so interesting showing him actually being so badass for an otter, doing some stuff that even U.S.A G.I wasn't able to do. But again, it's made very clear because of how he is, that there's a reason why he's able to, that U.S.A G.I would do stuff that Patriot-R wouldn't be assigned to. And yeah, he's basically like, I'm a loader and all that. We see him actually, eventually, he meets up with U.S.A G.I, and I love the artwork there. They're just staring each other down. We then see, Patriot-R, after they separated, he's making his way there. We see a bunch of the goons, and Patriot-R took him out. And it turns out, because he has opposable thumbs, we actually see that he's able to fire a gun off. And he meets up with Apex Moss. And they start to have a bit of a fight, and Patriot-R is actually able to do a good job keeping up until then. He even has him cornered actually with a gun and with the gun, but then Apex Moss unleashes the Intellect worm from the first one. Bit of a different design, but it leads into a fight now for him fighting what U.S.A G.I had a hard time dealing with. And in this case, he puts up a very good fight. Even lights Tetzel Worm on fire. Tetzel Worm on fire ends up being fine. But as the fight goes on, soon things, we start to have a point where things are going to start to fall apart. And he realizes, does he go after Tetzel Worm or does he continue the mission? And, well, he was given a task and he makes sure it's fulfilled. And then we end with, again, the two stories intersecting with things leaving, as we have a bit of an epilogue setting up for the next one, because of course Apex Moss and Hare got away, and the Black Cops are not going to be decommissioned this time until they're dealt with. So until then, that's where things are for this one. But I really love this. Took what was set up in the first one, expands it more, sets up some new main bad guys, sets up other characters beyond just U.S.A G.I, and just overall fun. The different artwork style works. We're seeing more with Penny involved, and all that. And again, the characterizations, the writing, all that stuff, the ideas are all solid. I really did I like this, and I can't wait for once the third one goes on its campaign. And knowing the fact that it's tied in with Common America and Wall Knight makes it all more satisfying. I can't wait for them to do a big crossover event. So that's all I have to say on this one. I highly recommend it. Just like I recommend almost everything by Tim Lim and Mark Pellegrini. And until then, I'll catch you guys later.